here.
Oh, he's going to bring the organ up, so we don't have to worry about it. So we're going to bring a couple of microphones out here in just a second, and I can share this one as well. Who's got a question? Or you just all wanted to hang out?
So the motorcycles, did you really know how to ride them?
Good question. Yeah, we did. They actually sent us to like a camp where the stunt guy who put the whole movie together trains, and he was a motorcycle expert. And in fact, during Evel Knievel's like last years of his life, he would do the jumps for Evel Knievel, and so he was like a real Hollywood stunt guy. And we went out to his ranch and trained for a couple of weeks. But some of the stuff on the beach where they were shooting the pilings and stuff like that, they wouldn't let us do, you know what I mean, for like, in case we just died. We did a lot of motorcycle stuff, and some of the more intricate stunts they had. You know, the guys that looked like us doing it, of course. Yeah.
Hi, I just wanted to know what it was like to work with Joel Schumacher. He's a great director and has done a lot of movies like this that are really great.
Yeah, he is absolutely amazing guy to work for. He knew exactly what he wanted, and he was really responsible for the casting, a lot of the casting of it. And it was an incredible cast that they put together, and no one was a celebrity, no one was famous at the time. You know, you had the two Coreys, you know, they weren't even the two Coreys yet. And what's that?
Kiefer wasn't Kiefer.
Kiefer wasn't, Jack Bauer, you know, everybody, we didn't really know what we were doing or know what we were even making at the time. And it's just, I had no idea, like 20-something years later, that I'd be still talking about the movie, you know what I mean, that kind of a thing. But Schumacher's vision was the movie, and his sense of everything from music to fashion, you know. He sent us on like a buying spree down Melrose Avenue, where they have all the most killer clothes from around the world. We got to really like get what we wanted, you know what I mean, kind of a thing. And so he was responsible for the look, a lot of the casting, the music part of it. And he hired the director of photography, Michael Chapman, who did Raging Bull and several different movies that were critically acclaimed. So they had all of the kind of the talent on this movie, and he kept it all together, and it was amazing.
Thanks a lot for coming out tonight. How was having the Lost Boys on your resume when you went on to further job searching? How did that work out?
In the business or outside the business?
I'd be interested in both. Like,
yeah. Well, like in corporate America, I tried to keep it quiet a little bit, you know. And of course, some jerk in the office would Google you, you know, or something, and then all of a sudden it would be over. But it was kind of the Lost Boys mystique kind of followed me everywhere, pretty much, you know. And it was, we were all brought up on all the big projects. In fact, it was between myself and Alex Winter for Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, and that was like after it. And he got the part. And I've been in therapy ever since. But so it was, you know, it's, you know, without the hair and the teeth, like no one recognizes. So, but it's you know, it's a credit that I'm really proud of, and it's a blessing to be in something that actually stands the test of time. And there's a lot of great movies that no one ever talks about or shows up to go see 25 years later. So it's, you know, I've walked it pretty well, actually. So, and I'm completely proud of it.
into the vampire movies we have now, how do you feel about the one that you were in compared to the modern day ones we have?
Real vampires don't fucking glitter, man. I said that one time, and I had one guy in the back go, "Neither did Bella." That's cool. But you know, it's tough because this generation grew up, you know, with the Twilight thing, and it's usually the parents that pass it down to the kids, and the kids are like going, you know, man, Twilight. The kids, the parents are like, you should have seen Lost Boys, you know, that kind of thing, right? So it's like, and it was really crazy because when I first moved to Tampa and I got out of the craziness that was Hollywood and then Los Angeles for like 25 years, I come to Tampa, you know, and I'm a dad of a daughter. My daughter's like 9 now, but she was in kindergarten for the first time, and it was like Halloween, you know, at the time. And growing up as a vampire, it was like taboo, you know what I mean? It was just like, it was a dark side, this kind of a thing, you know, back in the 80s. And now, like, every little kid wants to be like a zombie or a vampire. It's like really cool now, you know what I mean? And so the kids are all getting ready for Halloween. They're going to their class, and they're comparing, going like, you know, well, my wings look better, you know, my blood looks more authentic. And my daughter goes, yeah, well, my dad's a lost boy.
Oh, yeah.
And you know, the little kids, like, they have no clue, you know, but the teachers are like, hey, what's up? I know that movie. You know, and then the assistant teacher goes, do you know Robert Pattinson? And I'm like we all live in some mansion there. It's like Brad Pitt and Ray up there, and then Gary Oldman's in the basement, and you know, and you know, so it's kind of funny. It's like real life, you know, kind of a thing. And but the experience has been amazing, you know, and here we are talking about it. But yeah, the new generation has a lot to live up to. Yes, ma'am.
How long did it take to put on the vampire makeup?
It's a great question. We would show up at 4 o'clock in the morning, half asleep, and they'd lay us back in a chair, and 4 hours later, I'd wake up and I was a monster. And it was, you know, they put on prosthetic makeup, and then they make it up on there. And my hair was about down to here at the time, and they put extensions in your hair to make it like as long as yours. But that's the magic of Hollywood.
Has your daughter seen the movie?
Finally, yeah. I mean, yeah, it's right there on the Kindle, like along with Twilight. She did like it, and you know, fortunately at the time it wasn't. It married both the comedy and the horror, which is a success. You know what I mean? I think, and so it, you know. It wasn't, it had the little hardcore thing, but it wasn't so hardcore that a 9 or 10-year-old would completely be, you know, scarred for life if she's watching it, you know what I mean? So, and she finally did and loves it and quotes it to me and stuff now. I know. She's like, Dad, you're one of us now.
How many of the stunts did you actually yourself, and what was that like? Like, did they actually have the dog drop kick you in the bathtub?
Yeah, and that's a great question. The dog, they have stunt dogs too. Nanook is a stunt dog, you know. Unfortunately, that day he couldn't jump high enough to knock me in the bathtub. So they had 4 of the biggest stunt guys on the set holding the dog. And me in the bathtub, and they actually threw the dog on my chest to not be in the bathtub, and that was quite an experience. And then there was, the bathtub was filled with dry ice, and I'm submerged in the bathtub, and the dry ice kind of goes around in the water, and it sticks to your skin. So I'm like, monster makeup on, the eyeballs in, you can't see, you know, and the thing is sticking to you're underwater, and that was enough of a stunt for me. But we were cabled up in cables. They hung us from the train tracks. So we were actually hanging from the train tracks, but they kind of cable stuff all through your clothing and then kind of hook you and then there's like a scissor lift underneath you or whatever. But we were up there doing that, and some of the motorcycle stuff, except for shooting the pier, we did ourselves.
How long was that scene that you were hanging from the train tracks for? How long was that? Did you have to film that for?
It was probably, we were there probably 12 hours.
Whoa.
Yeah, you gotta know that they gotta get so many different things right that, your job is to wait a long time and then be fabulous, like when they call you up for a couple minutes. So, but it does take a long time. And that was a real train track, a real trestle in the middle of Santa Cruz. We shot it in Santa Cruz, California, and that is the boardwalk, and that is the homeless capital of the world. There are 14-year-old kids that are barefoot with dreadlocks, like our little lost boys and girls all over that city, and it's a surf capital. So it's really cool to kind of be there and get into that culture, And we shot at nighttime, which means your clock is completely messed up. So you go to work at 6 at night, get off at 6 in the morning, and then there's 40 people in your hotel room that want to unwind after work. And so they blacked out our windows, and so you couldn't, it was dark when it was night inside the hotel, but it was weird kind of working day, night, day. Yeah.
So please tell me that you got to party at the Sexy Saxophone Beach Bonanza, because I don't think you were in that scene.
Tim Capella was Tina Turner's saxophone player, and Joel Schumacher took him off tour. And I'm a musician, I'm a drummer myself, and in fact I play with G. Tom Mack, who's Gerard McMahon, who wrote the song Cry Little Sister for the movie, and we perform all over the country and in England and have a show together as well. But he had a hard time learning the song, the sax player. And so I did, me and him in a ghetto blaster, like before the scene, like for about a couple hours, went over the song together. And so, but that was mostly makeup and the body paint and stuff. So.
Just jump up to the one next to you.
Oh, you could hear me.
Yeah.
What's your fondest memory of filming?
Well, gosh, the paycheck? No, the whole thing was just such an incredible experience. I guess, I have to say the merry-go-round scene, like in the beginning, it just had such a cool feel, and it just felt like, wow, we're making a real movie and things are going on, you know what I mean? But, the whole experience, it took us about 3.5 months to make, and we filmed most of it in Santa Cruz and then came back for the other half, actually, on a soundstage at Warner Brothers in Los Angeles. And they built that whole cave, and back in the day, it cost $1 million to build the cave, and that was like huge back then, and so that was all on a soundstage, and it looked really authentic and really amazing. Corey Haim and Corey Feldman became my little brothers, and I have a lot of fond memories. And the hamster, rest in peace, was my brother in heaven forever, you know, and he left it all on the movie page for everybody, you know, and it just kind of hits a special note for me, you know, seeing him again, and how funny and how amazing he actually was. So spending time with people like that.
Nice.
Yeah.
And I have another question.
Sure.
Top 3 favorite vampire movies.
Oh yeah, I want to hear this.
Top 3.
Lost Boys.
I gotta say, you're buying. Come on, you're buying.
You know what? I don't have like favorite vampire movies. I mean, I just don't. You know, I forget. I thought Gary Oldman played like an amazing vampire. Like, what was it? Bram Stoker's. Yeah, that was really amazing work. So.
Did you watch Interview tonight?
I didn't, no, but I love interviewing, and it's funny, not to name drop, but Anne Rice.
Yeah.
I met Anne Rice. She came and I auditioned for Lestat for the movie.
Did you really?
I came in second a lot, like.
I mean, it's Tom Cruise, like, come on.
Exactly, you know, so, but, yeah, I have a lot of respect for her writing and that series and stuff. She really, you know.
Do you watch the movie still?
I had to go out for a Greek salad. I've seen it 2,500 times.
Do you guys turn it on, or it's on TV? Do you watch?
During the, you know what I mean? I'm like, VH1 is playing it all the time, and people text me, hey, it's on again. I'm like, residual. Like, hey, it's on again. It's very, but I do. I catch it, and it still cracks me up. You know what I mean? And it's still going like, wow, I really looked like that. You know what I mean? Yep.
Generic. If you weren't acting, what would you like to do?
I always wanted to be a professional athlete, but
What sport?
I was a tennis player for years. But yeah, but I'm a musician at heart. I've been playing drums since I've been 5 years old, and I recently my creative endeavors have been to put together a show, a musical that involves kind of the DJ culture meets like classic rock and roll, and I'm sort of merging the two worlds and doing a one-man show, letting the drums do the talking and acting out music from the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and beyond that influenced me in my life, and putting it together, and it's kind of special to me, and I'm going to be breaking it here in Tampa, and then taking it across the country.
Cool.
And so if any of you like Facebook me and stay in touch, I'd love to have all of you out to the first show.
What do you want to call it?
Bang the drum. Yeah.
Very cool.
Hi. Do you still stay in contact with any of the guys?
Billy Worth, the long.
Thank you.
I know, right?
You better not ask.
Yeah. Billy's we're like brothers of different mothers, like, you know, my best friend forever, and so we stay in contact a lot. Yeah. And Alex Winter, we lost touch, and then that's, I don't know if you're familiar with Spooky Empire or any of the conventions that happen, but I saw him just a couple of years ago, actually, for the first time in like 20 years, and that was kind of cool to reminisce. Corey, I was in touch with, and Feldman in touch with a little bit, and you know, we kind of, but since moving to Florida from Los Angeles, it's a little more difficult. But I would say Billy Worth and I are best friends forever, and we still reminisce for sure.
Why did you move to Florida?
Just
a question.
Yeah.
Love it. It's just a question.
Just to rehab after after 25 years in Hollywood. Just personal reasons, family reason. My father had passed away, and I'm a single dad of a young daughter, and I'm in the Hollywood Hills, and my mom's like, I need some help, and I'm like, wow, I need some help. You know what I mean? That kind of thing. So it was a good move for me, and I came down there to take care of my mom and my daughter, and launch my show from Tampa and meet you guys. And it's been a nice change for me, and I had all of LA I can possibly have, and met everybody and did everything.
How long were you there?
23 years.
Wow.
Yeah, you tell me. What's that?
Survivor.
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely.
Wow.
What are you dressing up for? Halloween?
Myself, dude.
Any ideas?
No idea. You know, it's so, when Halloween comes, because I've been involved in it so much, I'm almost like,
Jaded.
yeah, but not like, I'm not like jaded on it or anything. I'd rather be, I'd rather look on it than participate in it or something like kind of a thing. I don't know. But why, are you a special effects makeup artist or anything? Got any ideas? Yes.
Hi, I know in Hollywood has had a tendency lately to be remaking a lot of films, like Carrie that's coming out this week. How would you feel? Have you ever heard anything about them wanting to remake The Lost Boys, and how would you feel? I know there was at one point, I think, a sequel that was floating out there.
Yeah, I mean, let's not talk about it. You can't mess with a classic anyway, okay, right? They tried to, people attempt at making some things, but I hope they're not trying to make the original again. They damn near killed the brand with 2 and 3. And you know, with you can't mess with classics that they try to remake. It just always kind of, you know. But I hear that they're trying to make a musical, like a Broadway type show, a musical of the movie.
How do you feel about that?
Yeah. The cave is alive. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know. They're gonna milk it till it's cheese. I have no idea. But yeah, I'm sure it might be pretty cool actually. So if it Dick Donner and Joel Schumacher behind it, it could be really cool.
So, what was your perception of the movie when it came out? Like, you worked on it for all these months, and then when you saw it, was it what you thought it would be, or I mean, what was your perception on that?
Yeah, I didn't. You know, they come out like a year pretty much after you do it, and you had forgot a lot of things, and I guess I was just amazed at how much stuff I didn't see going on when we were filming actually was part of the movie, and you know how well it came together. I always looked at it and stepped outside of it like I wasn't in it to try to view it to see how it was or whatever, and I was blown away. The first time I saw a billboard of it and I was driving, I was just like, wow, it's real, you know what I mean? But I was pretty overwhelmed at the opening of it. I just couldn't believe it, you know. But no one knew how big of a hit it would be later, you know, as a classic or a cult classic at the time.
How old, if you don't mind me asking, how old were you when you were in the movie?
11.
No, you were not 11. Come on.
Oh, that was chance. That's Laddie. I was 23. Yeah.
Really?
23. Yeah.
What was the casting process like?
Grueling. And one of my other stories is that originally I was auditioning with Jason Patrick, who played David Michael, and I was hired for Kiefer's part, and there was a whole big mess up. And in fact, Johnny Depp was actually going to be one of the 4th Lost Boys at the time. They had, yeah, you did that. Good for him. And so they were switching a lot of people around, and Kiefer had the last name, and it was and instead of being like all disgruntled and like, you know, write me a check and I'll never talk to you again kind of thing, I said, hey, I want to be part of this movie. You know, I don't mind losing all of my lines. But yeah, you know, it was about a look thing, and he said, I'll tell you one thing, you might not have as many lines, but like the look is going to be memorable, and he was right.
You had long hair when you auditioned and all that?
Yeah, kind of long, because I had just come off a skateboard movie, you know what I mean? It was like called Thrashing, and like Tony Hawk was 14 in it, like it was, I'm dating myself now, but, and so I was kind of bunked out, but they wanted it to be something dramatic. And it was like modeled after the Motley Crue hair bands that were all coming into the thing, so yeah. Lots of fabulous.
Do we have one more question to wrap up the night?
Who's your favorite drummer?
I guess.
But that's a good question. God, I have so many though. I mean, yeah, Gene Krupa, Buddy Rich, Ginger Baker. I'm an old school guy, but you know, yeah. But anyway, I really want to thank you guys for letting me like hang out with you, and thank you, Jill, and the Tampa Theater. This is an amazing place, and Lost Boys is the best in the world. I really appreciate it. Hit me up on Facebook. Like to know what you guys are doing, and keep you posted what I'm doing. Thanks again, Tampa Theater. You rock. Have a good night. Drive safe. Bye.